this is the parking lot. It's located on the outer edge of the park, and Craig Ranch Park is located off of Craig Road here in North Las Vegas. So we're gonna get going and take you along.
And it is North Las Vegas, so that's probably about like 30 minutes from the Strip, just FYI.
Yep. And you're really close to the military base. Alright guys, so we're about to go out on another adventure, so make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe, because when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're gonna jump off the Strat. So let's go. So the park hours for Craig Ranch is 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Also, don't do drugs here.
Apparently there are road runners out here too, maybe we'll see one.
That's cool.
Alright, so one of the first things you'll see when you come in is there is a volleyball court. And it's huge. There's actually 4 nets out here. It's pretty massive, and it's a nice little sand pit too. Little children climbing in it at the moment, but really
there's
nice.
Not a lot of shade over this area, but definitely when it's the cooler months, it's definitely easier to be outside in open spots in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and down here there is some basketball courts. And it looks like down here you have 2 individual basketball courts. So there is definitely a lot of space here if you want to play basketball. And there are 2 full courts, and then they have some side hoops too on these courts.
That's pretty cool.
And then in the very far distance there you'll see is a skate park, and we'll get a little closer and show you that. So here's another shot of that basketball court that we just talked about. It's kind of interesting. They have 2 different types of hoops. They have the square backs, and then they also have like the rounded ones.
What's the difference between the square backs and the rounded edges?
I don't know. The square backs are typically more like NBA style, but I don't think it really matters.
It's just aesthetics.
Yeah, it's probably just some have been replaced and some haven't. Alright, so here is the skate park. Same difference, it's right when you come in and you make a left. There's a skate park. It's a pretty big area. Kind of nice that they have this available if you're in North Las Vegas. Alright, so this is a huge courtyard. Right when you get into the park and make a right, and you're probably going to hear some jets going overhead again. That's a huge courtyard space. It's blocks as the flooring. So probably will get a little bit hot, but there are some benches towards the back where you can sit.
It's very like open and clean. Like, it's pretty nice, I have to say. I'd be curious to see what it looks like at nighttime.
And then we turn and there's this massive green space. So this is where you basically enter the park right here. And this is a massive, massive green space. I think this is probably the biggest green space so far we've seen in any of these parks.
The biggest like consecutive green space. They tend to like try to break it up a lot, but like this is just, it continues on. So here's another like center view of that courtyard space. Like I said, it's really big. And then the green space just kind of continues on back here on the back side. And then we're coming up on a couple of different play areas. One is pretty open and exposed, and from the looks of it from here, it looks like it might have been a splash pad. But typically, Vegas parks, they like to put the things overhead so that the playground equipment doesn't get too hot. And as you can see, this green space just goes for like the entirety of the park, which is pretty cool.
And back behind those are the tennis courts over there.
Oh yeah. And then there's like a water feature like way back there that we'll eventually make our way over to. And more jets. All the jets. So we got some kid equipment over here, like I said. And then we've got like this interesting thing made out of what looks to be rebarb, but it's definitely bigger than rebarb. Is it rebarb? I don't know. If you touch it, does it feel metal?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, so we're gonna wander in here. And look at the kiddie equipment. We got these interesting little steps. And then the use of mulch. But yeah, they basically just have these little go rocking back and forth things. They got some swingy looking things. And this one's a ladybug. And that one's a grasshopper over there. And they're living in the field of flowers, which kind of look like poppies, if you ask me. Interesting look.
So this is one of the first pieces we've come up to. It's really different and interesting. Unlike any other parks where they're spread out along like walking paths and stuff, they basically just have a little AARP covered area with different exercises. So they have like a foot thing, they have like an elliptical, they have a stair climber back there. I'm not 100% sure. Parallel bars.
This is actually good for your shoulders. And then you can apparently...
It's nice that this is good for physical therapy in case you can't hear her because the mic's not angled that way.
It's got this thing on it, but it doesn't look like you can... Look like you can maybe change it, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's just for show. There are buttons on it to make it more difficult, but I don't think they work. There's a little stair area if you want to do pull-ups or... So you can't change the weight on them, but you can use, I guess, resistance.
And then this is a stepper.
Yeah, I've said that. There's the stepper. So pretty neat little area for working out, and it's definitely different than any of the other Vegas parks we've been to. And this has some pretty good signage, unlike the rest of the park. It does actually explain on each one different exercises you can do, and on the main sign there's a bunch of alternative exercises.
This one's a stretching and resistance band station. So you can bring your resistance bands.
So apparently you can bring your resistance bands and do them there too. Pretty nice little area. So let's keep going through the park and see what else we've seen.
Okay, so as in most Las Vegas parks, there's always like some type of educational feature to this. And here they have like different animals that are along the sides of the walls here, which is kind of cool. And then there's really not much in the middle. It's all just kind of like, you know, whatever. And then over there, we've got like a really cool, like woodsy looking playground area. There are a lot of kids playing over there, so I don't want to get a bunch of them on tape, but we'll try and get as much as we can. All right, so we got more of the little like wood stump steps. And then we've got like some crawly equipment. And now we're in like the recycled tires, which I kind of like the feel of that because it's very like impact resistant and it's easier on your joints. And then we've got like a fake dry creek over here and a bridge. But if you know anything about Las Vegas, it doesn't really rain here. And we also have a dead bird, so we're not going to look over there. It's probably why it smells a little. And then we have this big old crazy looking jackrabbit thing. He's kind of interesting. And then again, more of the fake creek. A little bit more of like the climbing equipment. And then we have made it over to this interesting water feature. But I'm gonna pan back over here so you can kind of see the back end of this play structure. It's very like woodsy looking, and again, just like all the playgrounds pretty much in Las Vegas, they have the tarps over them. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this water looks really nasty.
Yeah, like really nasty.
Like this is 100% runoff over here. But the ducks like it, and the geese. There's a bunch of them, probably because there's not a whole lot of stuff like this in Las Vegas. So I guess if it didn't smell, it'd be a nice, pretty place to just kind of sit down and take it all in because, again, they've provided us with these wonderful benches. and a beautiful scenery to look out upon. And again, we got more green space. So the trail kind of wraps around here, and I think it continues on back.
Here comes Mr. Duck.
And apparently Mr. Duck wants his close-up.
Probably thinks we have food.
Yeah, he thinks we got food. Sorry, Mr. Duck. I don't have no food. I know, I don't have food. I'm sorry. I think those kids over there are trying to feed ducks. You might want to check over there. We have hit our first big pavilion, and this is pretty big. I would estimate there's at least 10 to 15 picnic tables in here, and it looks like there's a rather large charcoal grill that kind of sits underneath that brick fireplace there.
Yep.
Looks pretty cool. So if you're looking to make like a really big cookout, this is probably your place.
And it's got some like prep tables on the side, which is kind of interesting. It's not under the covered area, so like it'd kind of be more useful to have those under the covered area, but hey.
To each their own, right?
Yeah. So the name of that huge pavilion is Lagoon Lodge. It's really laid out really well.
It looks like there's a couple prep tables.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, there's another prep table in the middle. A bunch of tables to sit at.
It's currently being guarded by an army.
Yeah. Yeah, check out all the Canadian geese that are here. Oh, there's a prep table in the back, too. So there's definitely a lot of space here if you're thinking of a big party. So this gigantic green space connects to the front of the park, and then we've got it all the way here, right? Look at this green space. It just keeps going and going and going and going, and then even back into here is more green space. So you've got a ton of green space here. If you're looking for just some grass, which Vegas has very little of, this is a great place to see some grass. So here's more of that open green space. That is the end of the park. Way in the distance where that road is, that's the other end of this park. Green space. We'll go back in that back left corner there in a sec, and then it looks like we're coming up on more play areas.
So just like at some of the other parks we've been to, they have like these big slides that you can kind of climb up to the top up here and slide down. And then we've got some more like jungle gym equipment like back there. We've got this interesting snake eating something kind of weird slide thing, but it's very heavy like desert themed. But we're gonna keep walking around and we'll show you guys a little bit more of the details. All right, so over here we've got some more playground equipment. This one's a little bit different colored. It's like gray and green, and it's some kind of conveyor belt that you can kind of go left to right with. Which is pretty cool. And then we've got another big playground back here. And here's like all of that jungle gym climbing equipment. Kind of back in that area. So some of the really cool things about Craig Ranch Park is the fact that it is absolutely huge. We have been walking for probably at least a half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and we haven't even gotten through half the park yet. Another thing I have to say that's really cool about this park is there is so much green space. I have to say, of all the parks that we've been to in Las Vegas, this one has the most by far compared to any of the other ones we've done. And if you want to check out some of the other parks that we've seen, make sure you guys look for our parks playlist and then check out some of the links that we'll link in the up here area. And another big pro for this park is the fact that there are a ton of activities that you can do here. They've got volleyball, they've got basketball, they've got skateboarding, they have tons of different park play areas for your kids. So just depending on which side you come in, Like, you probably walk maybe 10-15 minutes and you'll hit another like expansive play area. And then it also seems like they have a lot of event space. So if you're hosting like a family reunion or maybe a birthday party or a wedding or anything, just to get together, I would say of all the parks we've seen so far, this one has like the best pavilions, especially with those double charcoal grills. Like, that looks really cool. So let us know in the comments below, what do you guys like to do at the parks? Okay, so continuing with the theme of all of this green space, kind of just like spans. This is towards the back side of the park, back here. And it just keeps going in this direction, like forever, it seems like. And then we're kind of getting towards this edge of the park over here. But if you're looking for green space, this park has got you covered. It is so expansive, and there's so many places to sit. It's got a nice walking trail. Everything's nice and evenly paved. So yeah, we're gonna keep on going. So it only took us like getting through half the park before we actually found a map. But as you can see, this place is huge. However, it has been faded by the sun, so I think the star over here is kind of pointing to where we're at right now, that star. But outside of that, I don't know where we're at. But you can see like all of this green space for this park.
There's apparently a future disc golf park as well here.
And then if you want to follow them, there's the QR code. Alright, so we made it to the first big open gazebo. And it looks like at one point they used to have like a water feature here, but they no longer have the water feature. But I think if you were planning maybe a wedding or some kind of special event, this might be a nice place for you to host it.
Yeah, you can get some beautiful pictures there.
Off we go. Alright, so we made it to the next pavilion. This one's a little bit smaller than the one we saw over at the beginning, but it does have that double charcoal grill over here. And they're each named something different. And then just kind of across the way over here, we have another pavilion, and that one's called the Cottage. And it's about the same size as this one, it looks like, too. And as you can see, green space for miles and miles and miles.
And the cottage and the other one are basically right next to the far parking lot, which I'll show you in a second.
Alright, so we made it to the back corner of this park. And right there you have the cottage again, which we saw from the other angle. And then on this side, do you remember what it was called?
The cabin.
The cabin.
The log cabin.
And then we've got some more play equipment. And then we've got the other main parking lot. And then we've got the bathrooms. And that pretty much sums up this side of the park. We're gonna head in that direction and see how things go.
An interesting piece I find about this park is there is a massive fence running along, especially the backside where there's neighborhoods and stuff. It seems absorbently high, as well as it's got like spiky pieces at the top too. I mean, it is a public park. That kind of fascinates me, why it's so fortified. Let us know in the comments below if you know why there's such a huge fencing piece here in the back of this park. So there's that far parking lot we just came from, and you'll see, again, tons and tons and tons of green space. I think the baseball fields are over in this direction, but we'll find out when we get over there. And we're gonna keep heading over here to see what's over this way. All right, so here's the area we came from, and you'll see more and more green spaces. But when you get to this parking lot that we're at now, there's Nacy. When you get to this parking lot now, there's a bunch of picnic tables and stuff just kind of hidden away in the shade and some chairs. And then this is the furthest parking lot in the back if you come through the main entrance. All right, so this is the way we came from. You'll see that parking lot that we talked about runs all the way back here. And we basically zigzagged to this kind of like another pavilion area with a nice open area. We'll show you the up close in a second. Something fascinating we found on our journeys is that it's the same map. So the star where you think you are, doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just the same map. And on all of the maps, all of the numbers are whited out because of the sun. They got sun bleached. So not really very helpful as to telling where you are on this map.
But we are like here-ish. Like here.
No. We are, I think, like here-ish. Oh wait, no, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so, because that would put this directly in front of us, which is that. And this is that big gazebo.
We found ourselves on the map, everybody.
And it's not where it said we were, but...
What?
So we started here. And we are here.
Alright, well, let's show you the Garden Plaza. So we're at the Garden Plaza. Here's this. This is that big gazebo we just showed you a couple seconds ago before you saw the sign, but this is still in that back parking area. And of course we got our little geese buddies hanging out over here too. So we've got a little bit farther to go over there. It looks like some of that's going to be baseball fields and stuff, but we'll find out. So there are some disadvantages to this park. We've been to a ton of Las Vegas parks. Again, like Nancy said, check out that list up in that top left corner for all the parks we've been to. This park is massive, so that's a great thing if you're hosting a big party. But you have to remember, in Las Vegas, it gets to 110, 115 degrees in the summer. This park would be impossible during those periods to get to some of the places in the park. It would just be too difficult. The second thing is bird poop everywhere, and a ton of it. Geese, swans, pigeons, everything, especially around the water features in the park. It is massive amounts of poop, and some of them have diarrhea, so it's a great thing to see. And then on the last part, signage. Signage is lacking at this park, worse than any of the parks that we've been to. It's very difficult to know where you are. Every map you'll come across, so we've only come across I think 3 or 4 at this point, all are the same. So everything says that you're here, and you're here by being at the baseball field. So you're being at the baseball field on every single sign. It's very difficult to navigate the park because there's very little instruction as to where everything is in the park. So it's a great park, but there are some cons to it. So let's keep looking through the park and see what we see next. All right, so right after the garden park area, there's a garden lodge. There's a big swan coming towards us. Oh my. And then there's just the garden lodge. It's about as big as the first one we showed you. It has a double charcoal grill, technically. A couple of prep tables, really nice area. And it's right alongside this water feature. So there is another pond in the back of the park. So there are 2 big ponds here. This one looks about the same cleanliness as the last one though. So here's the other side of that garden plaza. There, it does look like there's a community garden right there, and you'll see in the distance with the fence up. And then there's some more green space back here. And then there's the dog park in the distance. We'll show you that a little bit close up in a minute. And then another bathroom. And we're getting to the baseball. Definitely a massive legit tip is that, especially around the water features, there is an excessive amount of feces from the different swans, geeses, ducks, and all the other birds. So just legit tip. So if y'all remember earlier, we went past those slides that were up that hill. Here is finally the other side of that hill. That is how large this park is, folks. It is huge. So down this way is the park where we actually, I should say the parking lot where we parked is down this way. But here is the baseball fields. So there are 2 full-size baseball fields over here. That's pretty cool. And then back in this direction, there's Nacy. And then there's a bathroom and a dog park, and we're going to show you the dog park real quick. So there's a random start on the sidewalk back by the dog park. I don't know what we're starting, but we have begun. All right, so there is a big dog park, and then there's a little dog park all the way in the far back corner.
And there is a hose, so if you need to get water for your dog.
Yeah, like Nacy said, there's a hose over there too.
And then it looks like they got some doggy waste. And then more fountains within like the dog park too. Yeah. And then the special ones that I think they're the special ones. No, they're not. They're not the ones that have the little dog bowl at the bottom.
No, but there's some benches and stuff too in there. So we found this at the park. There's a lost dog that was found. So if you see them, there's a phone number on there. So this is for the large dogs over 40 pounds. And this is on that left side. Oh, it looks like both of them are actually for large dogs. So there's two different parks, but they're both for large dogs over 40 pounds. And this is from the dog park side. There is the baseball fields. So you can see they're literally right across the little road in the same parking lot as the baseball fields. So again, here is the front of the baseball complex. You got a nice little concession and entry area. And then you got the two baseball parks basically back to back. Pretty nice space. All right, so this is our last lodge. This is the Adventure Lodge. And it's about the same size as the first lodge, and then probably like the last two or three that we've seen. It's a bigger one with the double grills. It's got a bunch of prep tables and probably about 15 to 20 actual tables to sit at. And you'll see where it's located. Right across the way is that baseball complex we just talked about. There's Nacy again. Like most of the Las Vegas parks, this does have a tennis court area. And there's probably about 20 tennis courts. You'll see this first structure has 6 courts. All right, and then there's a one that's actually bigger than it right behind it with another set of courts. So there's got to be probably like 10, 16 courts. Crazy amount of tennis courts here. So if you like tennis, this could be a good option for you. And then this is where we came from. So again, more green space separates us from that last lodge we went at, which I thought was the last lodge, but as usual, this park just keeps going, folks. I mean, like seriously keeps going. There is a lodge over there. I will run over there and get the name of it, but there is another lodge, and it looks about the same size as the one that we just passed. So this should be the last lodge. It's the Village Lodge, and you'll see it's about the size of the other one. This is right on the back side of those baseball fields, and there's the tennis courts over there that we just came from. And there's Nacy in the distance, and you'll see there's our car parked all the way over there, so we finally made it back. This park is massive. Just know that ahead of time. And especially in the summertime, you're not going to be able to walk around it when it's 100 plus degrees out. So make sure to plan accordingly where you're going to park, as well as what you're planning on doing, so that if you actually do want to come out here, it's possible. All right, so here are the baseball fields, just so you can see them. It is a baseball field without the grass in the center place, but pretty decent size, good little stands, and a good little concession area.
So that is going to conclude our tour of Craig Ranch Park.
Yeah, if you're in North Las Vegas, there's a big North Las Vegas sign at the edge that we'll show you in a second that basically signals this park. It doesn't really say Craig Ranch on the side, it just says North Las Vegas, but that is the Craig Ranch Park.
And it's huge, it's expansive. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got a dog park, it's got walking paths that are nicely paved. Just be aware of the geese poop. It's got significant play areas all kind of spread out around, and tons of green space. So it's a cool park, but if it's the summertime and you're coming out here, I would be cautious about coming out here during the daylight hours because it's hot.
Yeah, there's definitely not enough shade for a summertime sort of get together in this park.
So I hope you guys enjoyed tagging along with us today. So make sure you like this video.
Hit that subscribe button.
And ring the notification bell so that you get notified when we do 3 videos a week at least.
There we go. She said at least this time. Woohoo!
I'm learning.
And we'll come and get you for the next one.
Ain't that the truth? Baby Ruth.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.